Have you ever felt it? That quiet gap between the person you are right now and the person you know deep down you could be. It's not a loud, dramatic feeling. It's a low hum, a constant frequency playing just beneath the surface of your daily life. You feel it in the morning when you hit snooze for the third time. You feel it in the evening, scrolling on your phone when you meant to read or create or just be present. There's the person who navigates the day-to-day, and then it's the other one. The one you see in flashes of inspiration. It's the writer who actually writes, the artist who actually paints, the person who is calm and healthy and feels solid, grounded. You see them so clearly in your mind's eye, but the bridge between here and there seems to be washed out, so we try to fix it with an earthquake. We decide, starting Monday, I'm a whole new person. We buy the gym membership, the new journal, the expensive organic food. We try to leap across the canyon in a single heroic bound of willpower. And for a day, maybe a week, we fly. Then our muscles get sore. Life gets busy. The sheer effort of it all wears us down. We land right back where we started, only now with an added layer of disappointment. We blame our motivation. We blame our willpower. Blame ourselves. But what if? What if we've been looking at the problem all wrong? What if the reason we fail isn't because our goals are too big, but because our actions are? What if the secret to building that bridge isn't one giant heroic leap, but laying a single, almost invisible pebble every single day? What if changing your entire life started with something so small you'd barely even notice you were doing it? That quiet, powerful idea is the heart of a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I need to tell you, this isn't just another book on productivity. This isn't about life hacks or forcing yourself into a rigid, joyless routine. When I first found this book, it felt like being handed a map and a compass after being lost in the woods for a very long time. It's a book that doesn't just tell you what to do, it reveals the hidden architecture of why you do it. It explains the invisible forces that shape our every decision, from brushing our teeth to checking our phones. It gently takes the heavy weight of failure off your shoulders and replaces it with a blueprint. A blueprint for gentle, steady, and inevitable change. The author, James Clear, he didn't just dream this up in a lab. He was forced to live it. After a devastating injury in high school that nearly ended his baseball career, he had to rebuild his own life, piece by tiny piece. He learned firsthand that success isn't about one monumental transformation. It's about the compounding interest of 1,000 tiny choices. It's about a system, not a goal. This book taught me that the person I want to be isn't someone I have to chase, someone I can become, one atomic habit at a time. The journey is broken down into a beautifully simple framework. First, we'll explore the fundamentals, understanding why tiny changes make a remarkable difference. Then, we'll walk through the 4 laws of behavior change. The first law, make it obvious. The second law, make it attractive. Third law, make it easy. The fourth law, make it satisfying. Finally, we'll look at advanced tactics to go from good to truly great. This isn't a summary. This is an immersion. We're going to explore every core idea, every story, every mental model that makes this book a manual for redesigning your life. Let's go on a journey, one chapter at a time. So, we begin. And our first stop on this journey is maybe the most important and the most overlooked. It's a law that operates in the shadows of our own minds. Before we can build a new life, we have to see the blueprint of the one we're already living. Think about your day to day. How many of your actions were truly choices? How many times did you consciously decide, now, I will pick up my phone and scroll? Or did your hand just move? How many times did you choose to grab that sugary snack from the pantry? Or did you just find yourself walking towards it, as if pulled by an invisible string? This isn't a criticism. It's a fundamental truth about how we're wired. Our brain is a masterpiece of efficiency. To function, it has to automate. It creates these little scripts, these loops of behavior that run without our permission. We call them habits. And every single habit, good, bad, or neutral, begins with the same thing: a trigger, a cue. The cue is the spark that ignites the engine of the habit. It's the little whisper to your brain that says, hey, it's time to run that program now. The problem is, We are often completely blind to the cues that dictate our lives. We are puppets, and we can't even see the strings. We live in a world of triggers we never designed, reacting on an autopilot we never programmed, and we wonder why we feel so out of control. We blame our lack of motivation when we eat junk food, but we don't see that the cue is simply walking into the kitchen and seeing the cookie jar on the counter. The habit wasn't a failure of willpower. It was triggered by what you saw. We blame our lack of discipline for wasting an hour on social media, but we don't see that the cue was the flicker of boredom we felt for just a moment, and the phone was just there, the easiest thing to grab. James Clear puts it so beautifully. He says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So how do we do that? How do we turn on the lights in the room of our own mind? The book shares this incredible story from the Japanese railway system. For years, they had a problem with errors. Conductors running the same routes every day would go on autopilot, and small, costly mistakes would happen. So they implemented a system that sounds almost childishly simple. It's called pointing and calling. As a train approaches a signal, the conductor will point at it and say, "Signal is green." As it pulls into a station, they'll point at the speedometer and say, "Speed is 75 kilometers per hour." Every key detail is pointed at and spoken aloud. It seems redundant. Of course, the signal is green. They can see that. But this simple act forces a non-conscious observation into the conscious mind. It takes something from the realm of autopilot and puts it into the realm of awareness. And do you know what happened? This system reduced errors by an astonishing 85%. Now, imagine using that on yourself. Not as a judgment, but as an exploration. Imagine walking into your kitchen, reaching for that bag of chips, and just like the conductor, you pause, you point, and you say out loud, without emotion, "I am about to eat this bag of chips. This is not moving me toward my goal of being healthier." You don't have to stop yourself. The goal isn't to shame yourself. The goal is just to see. To narrate your own life for just a moment. "I'm pulling out my phone because I feel a moment of boredom. I am hitting the snooze button for the third time." This is the first step. It's called a habit scorecard. To simply spend a day writing down your habits and marking them. Is this habit a plus, moving me toward the person I want to be? Is it a minus, moving me away? Or is it neutral? It's about turning the lights on in a room you've lived in your whole life, but never truly seen. This isn't about fixing anything yet. It's just about awareness. And in that awareness, you reclaim a little piece of your power. Okay, so the lights are on. We can see the cues that trigger our bad habits. Now what about the good ones? How do we create new cues? This is where so many of us fail. We say things like, "I'm going to read more," or "I'm going to start meditating." But these are just vague desires. They are wishes, floating in space. A wish doesn't have a cue. It has no time. It has no location. And so, it never happens. The book gives us two of the most powerful tools for forging new habits. The first is called an implementation intention. It's a simple plan you make for when and where you will act. The formula is, I will behavior at time in location. Look at the difference. I will read more becomes, will read for 15 minutes at 10 p.m. in my bed. I will meditate. Becomes, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. on my living room couch. Suddenly, it's not a wish anymore. It's a scheduled event. You've given your brain a clear trigger, the time and the place. You've preloaded the decision. When 7 a.m. hits and you're near your couch, the cue fires automatically. It's like putting an appointment in your calendar with your future self, but we can make it even more powerful. We can link our new desired habit to one that is already deeply, deeply ingrained in our brains. This is the master strategy. It's called habit stacking. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. Your life is already full of hundreds of established habits you do without thinking. Waking up, brushing your teeth, pouring your morning coffee, taking off your shoes when you get home from work. These are solid, reliable anchors in your day. So, you just chain your new habit to one of them. Let's try it. Instead of I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m., you can stack it. After I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Instead of I will do 10 push-ups. After I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes and do 10 push-ups. Instead of, I want to be more grateful. After I sit down for dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for from the day. Do you feel the difference? You're not relying on memory or motivation anymore. The cue for your new habit is the end of an old one. You are literally hijacking the momentum of a behavior that is already on autopilot. It's like catching a ride on a train that's already speeding down the track. It's brilliant. This brings us to the final and most powerful expression of this law. We've learned to see our cues. We've learned to schedule them. But the most successful people is the people who seem to have superhuman willpower. They do something different. They don't fight a daily battle with temptation. They understand that the most powerful cues of all are visual. What we see shapes what we do. And so, they stop trying to be disciplined within their environment. They design their environment to serve them. This is the great secret. Willpower is a finite resource. Environment is a constant, invisible influence. If you want to change your behavior, change your world. Make the cues for your good habits obvious, and the cues for your bad habits invisible. It's so simple, it's profound. You want to read more? Stop leaving your book on a shelf. Put it directly on your pillow. It's the first thing you'll see when you get into bed. You want to drink more water? Don't just remember. Fill up a water bottle and put it on your desk, right in your line of sight. You want to practice guitar? Don't keep it in its case in the closet. Buy a stand and put it in the middle of your living room. You'll have to walk past it a dozen times a day. This is about reducing the friction to starting. You're making the cue impossible to miss, and you do the reverse for bad habits. You make them invisible. You can't stop eating junk food? Get it out of your house. Don't put it in the pantry. Don't buy it. Can't be cued by something that isn't there. You're wasting too much time on video games. Don't just turn the console off. Unplug it after every use. Put it back in its box. Put the box in a closet. Increase the friction. Make the cue invisible. You're checking your phone too much? Don't leave it on your desk. Leave it in another room for a few hours. The urge will still come, but the cue, the physical presence of the phone's gone. The urge will pass. This is an act of profound self-compassion. It's admitting that you are human, that your willpower will fade, that you will get tired. And it's about being a friend to your future self. You are the architect, designing a home for the person you want to become. A home where the best choices are the easiest ones. So we leave this first law with a new sense of power. Not the power of brute force, but the power of gentle, intelligent design. We are no longer blind puppets. We have turned on the lights. We have pointed and called. We have given our habits a time and a place to live. We have started to shape our world to shape us. We've made the cue obvious. But making it obvious is just the first step. It gets the process started. What happens when you see the cue? When your alarm goes off for that run, but you just don't feel like it? What gives a habit, the pull, the craving, the desire that makes you want to do it? For that, we must turn to the second law. It's a law that transforms a chore into a desire. I have to learn how to make it attractive. We've done the first part. We've become the architect. The running shoes are by the door, impossible to miss. The journal is on the pillow. The guitar is in the middle of the room. The cue is obvious. And yet, you stand there. A feeling washes over you. It's the quiet, powerful resistance of the human brain. The cue is there, but the desire is not. Your logical mind says, do this. It's good for you. But your emotional, ancient brain screams, no, I'd rather do anything else. I'd rather scroll. I'd rather snack. I'd rather stay right here on this couch where it's safe and comfortable. And this is the chasm where most good intentions go to die. Why? Why is it so easy to crave the things that are bad for us, and so hard to crave the things that are good for us? The answer lies in a single, powerful chemical. A molecule that runs the entire reward system of your brain. We call it dopamine. Now, most people think dopamine is the chemical of pleasure, that it's released after you get the reward. But that's not the whole story. The science is far more interesting than that. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation. It is released not when you get the reward, but when you expect it. It's the feeling you get when you hear the notification sound on your phone, before you even see the message. It's the thrill of seeing the waiter walk towards your table with your food before you've taken a single bite. It's the chemical of maybe. The brain isn't addicted to the pleasure itself. It's addicted to the promise of pleasure. It's the craving, the desire, the wanting, and the things that destroy our focus and our health. They are master classes in dopamine engineering, a slot machine, social media feed, a bag of potato chips. Each one offers an immediate, unpredictable hit of anticipation. Will the next scroll be interesting? Will the next chip be extra salty? This constant promise of a quick reward floods our system. Now compare that to going for a run. The reward, better health. In a few months, feeling good maybe? After the run is over, the dopamine hit is distant, abstract, and uncertain. So your brain, in its infinite wisdom, looks at the two options, the immediate, guaranteed dopamine of your phone or the delayed, effortful dopamine of a workout tan. It makes a perfectly logical choice. It chooses the path of least resistance, chooses the craving. So what do? You can't just will ourselves to crave a difficult habit. You can't force desire. But what if we could borrow it? What if we could link the thing we need to do with the thing we already want to do? This is the heart of the second law. James Clear tells this brilliant story about an engineering student in Ireland named Ronan Byrne. Ronan knew he should exercise more, but he found it excruciatingly boring. At the same time, he loved watching Netflix, so he did what any good engineer would do. He hacked his stationary bike. He connected it to his laptop and wrote a little program. The program would only allow Netflix to play if he was cycling at a certain speed. If he slowed down, Netflix would pause. He didn't make exercise less boring. He bundled it with something he was already craving. He linked the long-term reward with an immediate one. Suddenly, he wasn't a guy forcing himself to exercise. He was a guy binging Netflix. The exercise just happened to be the price of admission. He started using the bike all the time. This strategy is called temptation bundling. You don't need to be an engineer to use it. The formula is simple. 1. After my current habit, I will have it I need. Point 2. After habit I need, I will have it I want. Let's bring that to life. Imagine you want to start a journaling habit, but you crave that morning coffee. If I wake up, I will get my coffee. After I get my coffee, I will write one sentence in my journal. After I write in my journal, I will drink my coffee and read the news. You're creating a little ritual where the reward for your new habit is the thing you were going to do anyway. You want to process your emails, but you just want to check Instagram? I will spend 15 minutes on my work inbox, and then I get to spend 5 minutes on Instagram. You need to do laundry, but you want to listen to your favorite podcast. I will only listen to this podcast while I am folding the laundry. Suddenly, you start to look forward to folding laundry. You start to crave it, because it's your ticket to the next chapter of that story you love. You're not fighting your brain's desire for a dopamine hit anymore. You're using it. You're surfing the wave of craving instead of being crushed by it. This is a powerful tactic for our individual habits. But there is a force of attraction even stronger than a personal craving. It is perhaps the most powerful motivational force in all of human nature. The desire to belong. We are social creatures. We are herd animals. And for millennia, our survival depended on one thing: fitting in with the tribe. Being cast out was a death sentence. That ancient programming still runs deep within us. We have a primal, desperate need to belong. So we unconsciously adopt the habits of the people around us. We want to be liked. We want to fit in. The habits of your culture, your family, your friends, they seem normal. They seem attractive. If everyone you know smokes, taking out a cigarette doesn't feel like a bad habit. It feels like bonding. If all your friends meet up for drinks every Friday, ordering a water feels isolating. If your family shows love through huge, unhealthy meals, eating a small, healthy portion can feel like a rejection of their love. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if your culture is working against you, you are constantly swimming upstream. So, the book offers a profound piece of wisdom. Join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. You want to get fit? Join a gym or a class where people are excited to be there. Their energy will become your energy. Their standard will become your standard. You want to read more? Join a book club. The deadline to finish the chapter isn't a chore anymore. It's a ticket to a fascinating conversation with people you enjoy. The habit becomes a form of connection. You want to become more positive and ambitious? Spend more time with friends who lift you up, who talk about opportunities, not problems. Their mindset is contagious. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Their habits will become your habits. So choose your tribe carefully. Find your people. Because when a habit means fitting in, it becomes powerfully, irresistibly attractive. We've learned to bundle our temptations. We've learned to surround ourselves with the right people. There's just one last layer. It's the story you tell yourself. So often we frame our good habits as sacrifices, as burdens. The words we use are heavy with obligation. I have to go for a run. I have to wake up early. I have to eat this salad instead of that burger. This language creates resistance. It paints the habit as a punishment. But a simple shift in perspective can change everything. A simple reframe. Instead of saying I have to, try saying I get to. You don't have to wake up early to work out. You get to build your strength and clarity for the day. You get to be the kind of person who keeps promises to themselves. You don't have to cook a healthy dinner. You get to nourish your body and fuel your life. You get to create something with your own hands. This isn't just lying to yourself. It's choosing to focus on the benefit, not the cost. It's a conscious act of associating difficult actions with positive feelings. It's about seeing your habits not as a series of chores, but as a series of opportunities. It's the opportunity to become the person you want to be. So this is the second law. It is the art of desire. It's understanding that our brains chase the promise of a reward, and so we learn to bundle our tasks with our temptations. It's knowing that our deepest craving is to belong. And so we surround ourselves with a tribe that lifts us up. And it's realizing that the stories we tell ourselves shape our feelings. And so we learn to speak of our habits as opportunities, not obligations. We've made the cue obvious. Now, we've made the craving attractive. The path is laid out. The desire is there. It seems like everything is in place. But there's one final barrier. That moment of truth, when it's time to actually act. And even with a clear cue and a strong desire, we can be stopped dead in our tracks by one simple thing: effort. How do we cross that final bridge from wanting to do something to actually doing it? For that, we must embrace the most practical and powerful law of all. We have to learn how to make it easy. The stage is set. The cue is there, sitting on your desk, obvious and waiting. The desire is there, bundled with a promise of reward. It's attractive. You see it, want it, and yet nothing happens. There's a space. A moment of hesitation between the intention to act and the action itself. And in that space lies an invisible wall. The wall is called effort. It's the energy it takes to put on your running shoes, chop the vegetables, drive to the gym, or face the intimidating silence of a blank page. And we are experts at overestimating the effort something will take. We think about the entire 30-minute workout, the entire hour of studying, the entire chapter we need to write. And our brain, this ancient, brilliant machine designed for one primary purpose, to conserve energy, it hits the brakes. It's not a moral failing, it's not laziness, it's physics, it's biology. There's a law that governs so much of our life, from the way rivers carve valleys to the way we choose which website to click on. It's the law of least effort. We are wired to follow the path of least resistance. Given dissimilar options, we will naturally gravitate toward the one that requires less work. Think about it. You'll spend 10 minutes scrolling for a movie on Netflix, but you won't spend 10 seconds walking to the other room to find the book you actually want to read. You'll order takeout through an app with 3 taps, but the thought of spending 20 minutes cooking a healthy meal feels monumental. The energy required to start a good habit can feel like trying to push a giant boulder up a hill. Meanwhile, the path to our bad habits is a smooth, paved downhill slide. And for years we've been told the answer is to just push harder, to have more grit, more willpower. But the wisest people don't have more willpower. No, they just understand the law of least effort, and they don't fight it. They build their lives around it. They don't try to push the boulder uphill. They find a way to make the hill disappear. So how do we do that? We start by looking at our environment again. In the first law, we used our environment to make cues obvious. Now, we use it to reduce friction. Friction is anything that stands between you and the action. Every extra step, every extra second, every extra decision, that's friction. You want to eat healthier? When you unpack your groceries, don't just put the vegetables in the drawer. Wash them, chop them, and put them in a clear container at the front of the shelf. You've just reduced the friction of making a salad from 10 steps to 1. You want to go to the gym in the morning? Don't just lay out your clothes. Pack your entire gym bag. Put your water bottle, your keys, and the bag itself right by the front door. You've removed every single decision you need to make in your groggy, half-awake state. It's a form of deep kindness to your future self. You are preparing the path. You are making the right choice, the easiest choice. And of course, we do the opposite for our bad habits. We increase the friction. There's a wonderful story in the book about the great writer Victor Hugo. He had a huge deadline for a book, but he was a master procrastinator, constantly entertaining guests and putting it off. So he asked his assistant to take all of his clothes and lock them away, leaving him with only a large shawl. He couldn't go outside. He couldn't entertain guests. The friction to do anything but right was now enormous. He finished The Hunchback of Notre Dame weeks ahead of schedule. You don't need to be that extreme, but you can be. If you watch too much TV, don't just put the remote down. Unplug the TV after you use it. Even take the batteries out of the remote and put them in a kitchen drawer. If you spend too much money online, delete your saved credit card information from your browser. The friction of having to find your wallet and type in the 16 digits is often enough to make you reconsider the purchase. Make good habits easy, make bad habits difficult. It's not about willpower, it's about smart design. But even with a perfect environment, a frictionless path, that boulder can still look big. The thought of running for 30 minutes can still paralyze us. And this brings us to the single most practical, life-changing technique in the entire book. It is the key that unlocks the door of procrastination, called the 2-minute rule. The rule is this: when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. That's it. Almost any habit can be scaled down into a 2-minute version. Read before bed every night becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Study for my exam becomes open my notebook. Run 3 miles becomes put on my running shoes. I know what you might be thinking. This is ridiculous. What's the point of just taking out my yoga mat? How will that get me in shape? You're asking the wrong question. The point isn't to get in shape in that moment. The point isn't to finish the workout. The point is to master the art of showing up. A habit must be established before it can be improved. You have to standardize before you can optimize. The 2-minute rule isn't about the outcome. It's about the identity. The goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner, and runners put on their running shoes every day. The goal isn't to write a novel. It's to become a writer. And writers open their notebook every day. This is a gateway habit. It's the small, almost effortless step that gets you through the door. Once you've taken out the yoga mat, you think, well, I'm already here. Might as well do a few stretches. Once you've put on your running shoes, you think, well, I might as well walk around the block. But even if you don't, even if you just read 1 page and go to sleep, you still win. Because you cast a vote for your new identity. You showed up. You reinforced the habit loop. You kept the promise to yourself. And that builds a foundation of trust with the most important person in your life. You. This is the power of the atom. We overestimate the importance of one defining moment, and we underestimate the value of making small, consistent improvements. A 1% improvement is barely noticeable, but a 1% improvement every day for a year? The results are staggering. The 2-minute rule is your 1% improvement. It is the beginning of a ripple that can transform into a wave. You start by just putting on your running shoes. The next week, you walk for 5 minutes. A month later, you're jogging. A year later, you don't even recognize the person who struggled just to get out the door. This is how real change happens. Not in a single heroic leap, but in 1,000 tiny, easy, repeatable steps. So this is the third law. It's the wisdom to stop fighting our own nature and instead to shape our world to fit it. It's about making the path to our good habits a smooth downhill slope. And it's the beautiful simplicity of the 2-minute rule, the courage to start small. So small that you cannot say no. We made it obvious. We made it attractive. And now, we've made it easy. We're doing the thing. We're showing up. The system is working. But there's one final, crucial piece of the puzzle. The one thing that ensures we'll come back and do it all again tomorrow. What makes a habit stick? What tells our brain, hey, that was good. Let's do that again. It's the reward. It's a feeling of success. And for that, we must learn the final law. We must learn how to make it satisfying. So we've done it. We followed the map. We made the cue obvious. We made the craving attractive. We made the action easy. We took out the yoga mat. We read the single page. We put on the running shoes. We showed up. And now what? The action is over. And in this quiet moment after the habit is complete, the entire future of that habit is decided. Because your brain is asking one simple question, a question it has been asking since the dawn of time. Was that worth it? And based on the answer, it decides. Should we do that again tomorrow? This is the final piece of the puzzle. It's what James Clear calls the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Think about it. Little brains didn't evolve for a world of long-term rewards. They evolved for a world of immediate survival. Find food, eat it, feel good, escape danger, feel relief. The feedback loop was instant. And our modern bad habits? They are masters of this rule. The reward for eating a donut is immediate. Sugar, pleasure. The reward for scrolling social media is immediate. Novelty, a little hit of dopamine. The reward for smoking a cigarette is immediate. Relief, but what about our good habits? The reward for going for a run, better health. In 6 months, the reward for saving money, financial security. In 20 years, the reward for skipping the donut. Nothing. In fact, it feels like a punishment. You're left with a feeling of deprivation. This is the great mismatch of our lives. The costs of our good habits are in the present. The rewards are in the future. And the costs of our bad habits are in the future. The rewards are in the present. Our brains, hardwired for immediate gratification, will almost always choose the immediate reward. And so the good habit, even if we do it once or twice, withers and dies. It just wasn't satisfying. So how do we fix this? We can't magically make ourselves healthier in an instant. We can't make our savings account appear overnight, but we can be clever. We can give ourselves a little hit of immediate success. We can manufacture our own satisfaction. You just finished a tough workout. Don't just end it. End it with a reward. Maybe it's 5 minutes in a hot shower. Maybe it's a healthy smoothie that you genuinely love the taste of. You're telling your brain, we did a hard thing, and now we get this immediate pleasure. You managed to avoid ordering takeout and cooked a healthy meal instead. Transfer the money you would have spent into a special savings account. An account labeled European Vacation or a new camera. You see the number go up right now? The satisfaction is immediate. This isn't about bribery. It's about reinforcement. It's about finishing the habit loop in a way that makes your brain say, oh, that felt good. Let's bookmark that. Let's do that again. The key is that the reward must be aligned with your identity. Don't reward a workout with a bowl of ice cream. If your goal is to be healthy, that sends a conflicting message. Reward it with something that reinforces the identity you're trying to build. You're becoming a healthy person. A healthy person enjoys a relaxing shower, or a nourishing smoothie, or the peace of a quiet stretch. You are closing the loop. You're bringing the feeling of success into the present moment. But sometimes, the most powerful reward isn't something you get, it's something you see. There's a famous story about the comedian Jerry Seinfeld. A young comic asked him for advice on how to become a better writer. Seinfeld told him the secret was to write jokes every single day. And the way to do that, he said, was to get a big wall calendar. And for every day that you do your writing, you put a big red X over that day. He said, after a few days, you'll have a chain. Just keep at it, and the chain will grow longer every day. You'll like seeing that chain, especially when you get a few weeks under your belt. Your only job next is to not break the chain. Don't break the chain. It's one of the most powerful psychological tools ever invented because it taps into so many things at once. It makes your progress visual. You're not just hoping you're getting better. You can see the evidence of your consistency. It creates a little bit of healthy addiction. You don't want to see that blank square. You don't want to ruin your streak. Every time you mark that X, now that is a moment of immediate satisfaction. Clink. A little hit of pride. A vote cast for your new identity. I am a writer. I am a runner. I am a person who shows up. Here is my proof. You can do this with anything. A jar filled with paper clips, where you move one from the full jar to the empty jar every time you do your habit. A habit tracking app on your phone. Simple line in your journal. The method doesn't matter. The principle does. Make your progress satisfying to see. Because motivation comes and goes, but seeing a 30-day streak you've built, that's a different kind of power. That's momentum. And momentum is a force of nature. Now, what about the other side of the coin? How do we make our bad habits unsatisfying? We have to flip the script. We need to bring the future pain into the present moment. We need an immediate cost. One of the most effective ways to do this is with an accountability partner. Find someone you trust, and you make a pact. You tell them, my goal is to stop eating junk food after 9 p.m. If I do it, I have to text you, and I will immediately send you $10. Suddenly, the cost of eating that cookie isn't a vague, I might gain weight later. It's the immediate concrete pain of losing $10 and having to admit you failed to a friend. The pain is now in the present. It makes the habit deeply, deeply unsatisfying. You can also create what's called a habit contract. This is a formal, written agreement with yourself and others. It lays out your goals and the immediate consequences for failing to meet them. You can sign it with your spouse, your best friend, your business partner. If I don't go to the gym 3 times this week, I have to do all the dishes for the next week. If I smoke a cigarette, I have to give my friend $50 to donate to a political party I despise. It sounds extreme, but it works. Because it makes the long-term consequences of your bad habits immediate and painful. It makes breaking your own promise feel terrible. And that is a powerful deterrent. And so, we arrive at the end of our framework. For simple laws that govern everything we do, it starts with a cue. So we learn to make it obvious. That cue triggers a craving, so we learn to make it attractive. That craving motivates a response, so we learn to make it easy. And that response delivers a reward, so we learn to make it satisfying. It's obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. This isn't a list of hacks. This is a blueprint for becoming the architect of your own life. It's a system for gently, patiently, and inevitably becoming the person you know you can be. It's the understanding that big changes don't come from big actions. They come from tiny habits, repeated day after day, until they become a part of who you are. They are the atomic units of a transformed life. You don't just do the habit, you become the habit. You become the person who doesn't miss workouts. You become the writer who shows up to the page. You become the reader who devours books. Not because you have more willpower, because you built a system where showing up is obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. You built a life where your success is inevitable. And so, the system is in place. The cues are obvious. The cravings are attractive. The actions are easy. Rewards are satisfying. You've built the chain. You're showing up. You are no longer fighting a daily battle against yourself. You have momentum. You're good. You have reached a beautiful, powerful plateau. And yet a quiet question begins to surface. It's not a question of failure, but of potential. Is this all there is? You can play the song perfectly now, but can you improvise? You can run the 5K, but are you getting any faster? You're consistent, but are you still growing? This is the hidden danger of success. The habits that got you here might not be the ones that get you to the next level. Consistency can, if we're not careful, become a comfortable cage, can lead to complacency. The 4 laws teach you how to get in the game. These final ideas, these advanced tactics, they teach you how to keep winning it for the rest of your life. They are what separate the good from the truly great. The first advanced tactic is a question. And it's one of the most important questions you can ever ask yourself. Am I playing the right game? We live in a culture that celebrates pure brute force effort. We're told that if we just work harder than everyone else, we'll succeed. But what if that's only half the story? The truth is, our genes, our natural inclinations, they matter. They are not a life sentence, but they do deal us a certain hand of cards. Some people are naturally more extroverted. Some are naturally more analytical. Some are more agreeable. For years, we've been told to focus on our weaknesses, to shore them up. But the masters, the people who seem to operate on a different plane of existence, they don't do that. They identify their natural strengths. They build their habits and their lives around them. They find the game where their genetics give them an edge. As the book says, the secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. This isn't an excuse to give up. It's a call for profound self-awareness. So ask yourself, what feels like fun to me? but looks like work to others? What tasks do I seem to pick up faster than those around me? What topics can I spend hours learning about, long after everyone else has gotten bored? The answers to those questions are your clues. They're pointing you toward the game that was designed for you. When your habits align with your natural abilities, it feels less like a struggle and more like a flow. You get more return for your effort. You stay motivated because you're actually enjoying the process. Stop trying to be a world-class sprinter if you were built to be a marathon runner. Stop forcing yourself to be a meticulous accountant if your true talent is connecting with people. Find your game, because when you do, your hard work won't just be adding, it will be multiplying. Okay? You've found your game. You're building habits around your strengths. The progress is fast, it's thrilling, and then it happens. It always happens. The novelty wears off. The progress slows down. And you are left with just the work. You are left with boredom. And James Clear gives us one of the most critical insights for long-term success. The greatest threat to success is not failure, it's boredom. We all have goals. We all have moments of inspiration. But every quest for growth eventually hits a point where it is no longer exciting. It's just reps. It's just practice. It's just another Tuesday. This is the moment that separates the amateur from the professional. The amateur only works when they feel motivated. They only practice when they feel inspired. The professional sticks to the schedule. They show up even when the mood isn't right. They understand that the work still has to get done. As the book says, the only way to become excellent is to be endlessly fascinated by doing the same thing over and over. You have to fall in love with boredom. But how? How do you stay engaged when the work becomes routine? You use the Goldilocks rule. Human beings experience peak motivation when they are working on a task that is right on the edge of their abilities. Not too hard, or we get frustrated. Not too easy, or we get bored. It has to be just right. This is where your 2-minute habit begins to evolve. You've mastered reading 1 page. Now, you try to read for 5 minutes. You've mastered 10 push-ups. Now, you try for 11. You add 1 more rep. You add a little more weight. You increase the difficulty just enough to hold your attention. You must constantly be looking for that sweet spot of just manageable difficulty. It keeps your brain engaged, ensures you are still growing, and it gives you a hit of satisfaction when you conquer that slightly harder challenge. Falling in love with boredom doesn't mean being a mindless robot. It means being a scientist in your own life, constantly tweaking the variables to stay right on that razor's edge of your potential. You've found your game. You're embracing the process. You're living on the edge of your abilities. There's just one last thing. A habit that maintains all other habits. Practice that ensures you don't spend years climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. It is the practice of reflection and review. A life without reflection is a ship without a rudder. You may have a powerful engine of habits, but without a moment to check the map and the compass. You can drift miles off course and not even realize it. The most successful individuals and organizations have a system for this, an annual review, quarterly retreat, a simple weekly check-in. This isn't complicated. It's just creating the space to ask the essential questions. What went well this past year? This month? This week? What didn't go so well? What did I learn? Am I still moving toward the person I want to be? Are my habits still serving my identity? This process is what allows for course correction. It's where you identify the habits that are no longer serving you and can be pruned away. It's where you notice a new area of life you've been neglecting. It's where you double down on what's working. Without this feedback loop, you are flying blind. With it, you are in control. You are not just the builder of your habits. You're the architect, constantly refining the blueprint. So, this is the path. It begins with the 4 laws, the foundation for building a better life. And it leads here. To a higher level of awareness. To finding the game that you are uniquely meant to play. To embracing the discipline of showing up, especially when it's boring. And to holding the space for reflection to ensure your path remains true. The goal was never to arrive at a final destination called success. The goal was never to build a perfect set of habits and then coast. The real goal is to fall in love with the process of becoming. To see your life not as a fixed entity, but as a masterpiece that you get to work on every single day. The goal is to become the kind of person who is always learning, always adapting, always growing. 1 chapter, 1 law, 1 atomic habit at a time. If you've stayed with me this long, all the way to the end of this journey, it's probably not just because you're interested in productivity. It's probably because you felt it too. That quiet gap we talked about all that time ago, the feeling of being stuck, the exhaustion that comes from trying so hard, making those big, heroic leaps, only to find yourself right back where you started, feeling a little more broken than before. It's a quiet, personal war that so many of us are fighting with ourselves. A war of willpower, of discipline, of guilt. And if there's one single truth I could leave you with from this entire exploration, it's this. Atomic Habits is not a book about habits. Not really. It's a book about ending that war. It's a permission slip to finally stop blaming yourself. To stop believing the story that you are lazy, or unmotivated, or broken. You are none of those things. You were just playing a game that was rigged against you, using a strategy that was destined to fail. This entire framework obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. It's not a set of rules to make you a more efficient robot. It is a language of self-compassion. It's a way to replace self-judgment with gentle, intelligent design. When you truly absorb that, really let it sink into your bones, everything changes. The way you live changes. You stop seeing your life as a series of daunting mountains to climb, and you start seeing the beauty in laying a single perfect stone at your feet. Your focus shifts from the distant, imagined future to the small, meaningful action you can take right now. And you discover that the secret to a grand life is found in the grace of 1,000 tiny, well-lived moments. The way you think changes. The voice in your head, the harsh critic that says you failed again, it gets quieter. It's replaced by the calm, curious voice of an engineer. A voice that doesn't say I'm weak, but asks, was the cue not obvious enough? Was the friction too high? How can I make it more satisfying next time? You stop seeing personal failures and you start seeing system errors that can be fixed. And that shift is the difference between shame and growth. And maybe most importantly, the way you love changes. Because you realize that the most profound connections in our lives are not built on one-time grand gestures. They are built on atomic habits. Love is the habit of putting your phone down when your partner is talking to you. It's the habit of saying thank you for the small things. It's the habit of forgiving, of listening, of showing up day after day, especially when it's boring. It's the compounding interest of 1,000 tiny, consistent acts of kindness. This book gives you the tools to build a better life. Yes, but it gives you the wisdom to understand that a better life is just a collection of better days. And a better day is just a collection of better habits. This conversation isn't really over. The end of this video is just a cue, starting line. This journey is not meant to be taken alone. We grow better together when we share our stories and our struggles. So if this conversation moved something in you, if it made you feel seen, a simple like on this video is a quiet way of saying, I get it. It lets us know we're on the right track, and I truly want to know what's next for you. In the comments below, I invite you to share just one thing, not a giant goal, but the first atomic step. What is the 1 2-minute habit you are ready to begin? Let's turn that comment section into a testament to new beginnings, a place where we can cheer each other on. And finally, if you want to be part of more conversations like this, explorations into the ideas that help us live with more intention and compassion, then I invite you to subscribe and join our community. The person you want to be is not someone you have to find. They are not hiding somewhere out in the future. They are someone you build. They are waiting for you, one tiny atomic habit at a time.